Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my auto-buy authors. So I was gonna pull off all the books from my shelf for the authors that I choose, but then I decided that that would make a really big mess, so I'm not going to do that, but I'll probably insert an image of maybe my favorite book by that author if you're interested in checking it out. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the authors because honestly I don't know a whole lot about them, but I will tell you what genre they write in for the most part, and hopefully you will find some good authors from this video. So let's just get started. The first author that I have is an obvious choice for me, and that is Linwood Barclay. He is my all-time favorite author. He writes suspense thriller novels, and they always have these big, huge twists, and they're so good. And he comes out with a book about once a year now. He actually has another book coming out this year, and I want to say it's in August, but I could be wrong. I'll look it up and put it on the screen if I'm wrong. But he is my all-time favorite author, as I said, and I love his books and his writing style. It is so good, and it just sucks you in. And I'm usually able to finish his books, I buy them as soon as they come out, or I pre-order them. I usually read them in one sitting, and if not, I usually read them in a day or two at most. And then I have to wait another year for the next one, but that's okay because they're so good. The next auto-buy author that I have is Kat Winters. She writes so well. She kind of does young adult paranormal, I believe is the category that it would be in. She's really good. I've only read one book by her, but I've purchased recently her newest book, Cure for Dreaming. But the book that really got me into her was In the Shadow of Blackbirds, and if you haven't read it, I would definitely recommend it. I guess it's paranormal, psychological type books. I'm not really sure. But she's an excellent writer, and ever since I read In the Shadow of Blackbirds, I've kind of been wanting to pick up everything that she's written, but I have yet to do that. The next author that I have is Mira Grant, and she wrote the Feed trilogy. She also has written Parasite, and there's a sequel to that book, but I can't think of the title of it right now. She is also an excellent writer, obviously, but she, the Feed series is a zombie trilogy, and it is really good. The first book, just, the feels. It's so good. And Parasite, also very good. She kind of writes more of science fiction type stuff. I don't own all of her books. I have the Feed trilogy and I have Parasite, but I don't have the second book in that series. And I'm sure that she's written more, but I don't own any of the other ones yet. But I highly recommend her books if you're into zombie type books and books that deal with healing illnesses and things like that, because Parasite kind of deals more with medicine, but also very good. The next one that I have is Cassandra Clare, and this is probably on everybody's auto-buy author list. I have every single book that she has written. They're all really good. They're very fast-paced. They're very action-packed. And I know that most people have already read all of the books by her. Every time I see a new book by her being published, I either pre-order it or I pick it up the day that it comes out. The next one that I have is Rainbow Rowell. I have not read Eleanor and Park, but I've read Fangirl and I've read Attachments. And Attachments is probably my favorite book by her so far. I own all of her books. I haven't read Landline either, but I do plan to get to that one soon. She's just an excellent writer of contemporary novels. It's so good. Attachments to me was, I guess because of my age and the character's age, it was more relatable for me, and I really enjoyed that book. And then I read Fangirl, and it was so good as well, so definitely recommend her if you're into contemporary books. The next one that I have is Andrew Smith. He is the quirkiest writer that I know of. He's excellent. I don't have his new book, but I do plan to purchase that soon. But the first book that I read by him was Grasshopper Jungle, and let me just say, that book is I don't even know. It's off the wall. It's so strange, but it's so good, and you can't get your head around what's happening because it's so weird. And then after I read Grasshopper Jungle, I picked up Winger, and Winger is, it's completely different from Grasshopper Jungle, but so good. Winger is more like a contemporary novel, where Grasshopper Jungle is kind of like a science fiction type book, but they're both excellent. And he does have a new book, 100 Sideways Miles. I haven't read that book yet. And then he also has that new one that I mentioned, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but highly recommend him if you're into kind of weird, quirky things. And then, you know, but also some of his other books are just freaking amazing. My next auto by author is Stephen King, more so his new stuff. I do have some of his old books, but I've just recently started buying all of the books that he's releasing lately, like Mr. Mercedes and Revival and Dr. Sleep. He has a sequel to Mr. Mercedes coming out this year, and I can't wait to read it. I think that his new stuff is really good. I've read some of his old stuff. Carrie is a personal favorite of mine, but I read like The Dead Zone. I didn't really like The Dead Zone. Gerald's Game's pretty good. It's kind of weird, but it's good. Misery is probably another favorite. But his new stuff is just, I don't know, something about it. It's so good. Mr. Mercedes is probably my favorite by him out of his new stuff. He still has that, you know, scary aspect to his writing, but he also came out with another book called Joyland that was not really as scary as his other writing, but I mean, it was still enjoyable, but not my favorite, regardless of the books that he's come out with that I don't so much like and the books that I really, really love. He's still an auto-buy author for me. I get emails and stuff when there's a new release coming out by him asking me to pre-order it, and usually I do because it's Stephen King and he's excellent. So I have two more left. First one is V.E. Schwab, and I know that she writes under Victoria Schwab and V.E. Schwab, and I actually own The Archive, The Unbound, and then and those are under her Victoria Schwab name, and then I have A Darker Shade of Magic and Vicious. And Vicious is the first book that I read by her, and I absolutely loved it. It was so, so good. It's from a perspective of the bad guys, basically, and it's really good. It's really well written, and the concept is beyond anything else that I've ever read. I've never read anything like that before. So that automatically made me want to buy her books. Now, I haven't read The Archive duology, and I haven't read A Darker Shade of Magic, but from reading Vicious, that's all I needed to place her on my auto-buy author list. And the last one that I have is Gillian Flynn. She wrote Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and then there's another one, and I'm blanking on the title of it right now for some reason, but I've read all of her books. They're so, so good. Gone Girl is my absolute favorite. I am impatiently waiting for her to publish another book because I can't wait to read it. She's kind of in the mystery, thriller, suspense genre. She also has big twists and turns, kind of like Linwood Barclay does. That's what I enjoy most about her writing style, is you don't really know what's going to happen next. Some people I know were able to predict Gone Girl, but me, no. I could not predict it, and it was such a huge twist that it just blew my mind. So those are all of my auto-buy authors. If you would like to leave a comment, let me know who your auto-buy authors are. I would be very interested in knowing that. That way I can kind of expand my horizons as far as what authors I read. I would love to add more authors to this list. I know there's probably some that I didn't mention, but those are the ones that popped into my head when I decided to make this video. So just let me know in the comments below who your auto-buy authors are so I can check them out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!